Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Kunja Yashodanandana Brajachanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Naranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Kunja Bihari Nanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Jai Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari युगधर्म श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की श्रील प्रभुपाद की सामवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter number 29, talks between Narada and King Prachina Bari. Text number 76 and 77. Yata trinajalokeam napayati apayati cha ज्ञातजेन म्रियमाणोऽपि प्राग्देहाभिमतिं जना यावदन्यं न विन्देत व्यवधानेन कर्मणा मन एव मनुष्येन्द्र भूतानां भवभावनम् यथा तृणाजलोकेयं नापयाति अपयाति च ज्ञातजेन्म्रियमाणोऽपि प्राग्देहाभिमतिं जना यावदन्यं न विन्देत व्यवधानेन कर्मणा मन एव मनुष्येन्द्र भूतानां भवभावनम् यथा तृणाजलोकेयं नापयाति अपयाति च नात्यजेन्म्रियमाणोऽपि प्राग्देहाभिमतिं जना यावदन्यं न विन्देत व्यवधानेन कर्मणा मन एव मनुष्येन्द्र भूतानां भवभावनाम्. मन एव मनुष्येन्द्र अपयाति अपयाति च त्यजेन्म्रियमाणोऽपि प्राग्देहाभिमतिं जना अपयाति अपयाति च त्यजेन्म्रियमाणोऽपि प्राग्देहाभिमतिं जना यावदन्यं न विन्देत व्यवधानेन कर्मणा Manaya Shindra Bhutana. Any Matajis? Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki yata as Trina Jaluka caterpillar yam this na apayati does not go, apayati goes, cha also, na not, tyajet gives up, mriyamanaha at the point of death, api even, prak former, deha with the body, abhimatam identification, jana a person, yavat as long as, anyam another, na not, vindeta obtains, vyavadhanena by the termination, karmana of fruitive activities, manaha the mind, eva certainly, manusha indra or ruler of men, bhutanam of all living entities, bhava of material existence, bhavanam the cause. Translation: the caterpillar transports itself from one leaf to another by capturing one leaf before giving up the other. Similarly, according to his previous work, the living entity must capture another body before giving up the one he has. This is because the mind is the reservoir of all kinds of desires. Purport: a living entity too much absorbed in material activity becomes very much attracted to the material body. Even at the point of death, he thinks of his present body and the relatives connected to it. Thus, he remains fully absorbed in the bodily conception of life. So much so that even at the point of death, he abhors leaving his present body. Sometimes it is found that the person on the verge of death remains in a coma for many days before giving up the body. This is common among so called leaders and politicians who think that without their presence, the entire country and all the society will be in chaos. This is called Maya. Political leaders do not like to leave their political posts, and they either have to be shot by an enemy or obliged to leave by the arrival of death. By superior arrangement, a living entity is offered another body. But because of his attraction to the present body, he does not like to transfer himself to another body. Thus, he is forced to accept another body by the laws of nature. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself the doer of the activities that are in actuality carrying out by nature. Bhagavad Gita 3.27. Material nature is very strong, and the material modes force one to accept another body. This force is visible when the living entity transmigrates from a superior body to an inferior one. One who acts like a dog or hog in the present body will certainly be forced to accept the body of a dog or hog in the next life. A person may be enjoying the body of a prime minister or president, but when he understands that he will be forced to accept the body of a dog or hog, he chooses not to leave the present body. Therefore, he lies in a coma many days before death. This has been experienced by many politicians at the time of death. The conclusion is that the next body is already determined by superior control. The living entity immediately gives up the present body and enters another. Sometimes, in the present body, the living entity feels that many of his desires and imaginations are not fulfilled. Those who are overly attracted to their life situation are forced to remain in a ghostly body and are not allowed to accept another gross body. Even in the body of a ghost, they create disturbances or for neighbors and relatives. The mind is a prime cause of such a situation. According to one's mind, different types of bodies are generated, and one is forced to accept them, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 8.6. Yam mam vapi smaran bhavam tyajanti antakalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. Within one's body and mind, one can think as either a dog or a god, and the next life is offered to him accordingly. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita 13.22. Purusha prakritisto hi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangasya sadasad yoni janmasu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. The living entity may transmigrate to either a superior or inferior body according to his association with the modes of material nature. If he associates with the mode of ignorance, he gets the body of an animal or an inferior man. But if he associates with the mode of goodness or passion, he gets a body accordingly. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14.18. Urdvam gacchanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasa jaganya gunavrittistha ado gacchanti tamasa. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. The root cause of one's association is the mind. This great Krishna conscious movement is a great boon to human society because it is teaching everyone to think always of Krishna by executing devotional service. In this way, at the end of life, one may be transferred to the association of Krishna. This is technically called Nitya Leela Pravishta, entering into the planet Goloka Vrindavan. Bhagavad Gita 18.55 explains, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyashchasmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato gnatva vishadetad anantaram. One can understand the Supreme Personality as He is only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. After the mind is completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness, one can enter the planet known as Goloka Vrindavan. To enter the association of the Supreme Personality Godhead, one has to understand Krishna. The process of understanding Krishna is devotional service. After understanding Krishna as he is, one can become eligible to enter Krishna Loka and associate with him. The mind is the cause of such an exalted position. The mind can also get one a body like those of dogs and hogs. To absorb the mind always in Krishna consciousness is therefore the greatest perfection of human life. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरस्वे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुल्लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपः तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। Before I start, I seek the blessings of His Grace Anandamai Prabhu and all the Assembled Vaishnavas so that I can speak on this verse. So, this verse is quite similar to Dehinosmin Yata Dehe Kaumaram Yavanam Jara. How the living entity takes another body. So, primarily in this elaborate purport explained by Prabhupada, there are three aspects covered. One is how the living entities, conditioned souls, how they react at the time of death. And then Prabhupada is talking about how, according to the modes of nature, how they get different types of bodies. And Prabhupada is then explaining about how to absorb our mind on Krishna so that we can achieve perfection. So, we are going to discuss these three aspects basically in this discussion today. So, as Prabhupada is mentioning, how the people in this world are attached to their family members and the various positions. So, we see, like Prabhupada mentions about some businessman who was about to die and deceased. So, he asked the doctors, "Can you please increase my life?" So, because he can finish off the business and other tasks, but it's not in his hand or the doctor's hand. And Prabhupada also mentions about here about the politicians specifically, how they are attached to the positions and they are forced to leave their positions at the time of death, although they don't want to give up their positions. So we see like Dhritarashtra also, the word Dhritarashtra itself means he is attached to that position of being the king. So Prabhupada also talks about President Kennedy, that how he really worked very hard. Actually, he was very rich, influential, and really worked hard to become president and enjoy that position. But then once when he was in a parade, he was shot and he was killed. And Prabhupada also explains about many other such leaders who want to actually control this world, like Hitler, Napoleon. So many people, they want to actually conquer over the whole world. So, but Prabhupada says that actually, uh, ultimately, because they didn't surrender to Krishna, so Krishna conquered them in the form of death. Mrityu sarva arashaham. So, Alexander, there is a small story Prabhupada tells. Once when he was in India, one thief entered his tent and he tried to steal some of his property. So the soldiers, they caught him. So then Alexander, they brought him before him and they asked that why you stole this. So then the thief said that, see, I am stealing little properties, little bit only, but you are a big thief. You are stealing big countries only. So I am a small thief, but you are a big thief. How? Because ultimately everything belongs to Krishna. So Alexander left him, left that thief. So also Prabhupada is mentioning that people generally think that without uh, myself, without my presence, the nation cannot run. Uh, so there is another nice story. One king always feels that without him, his kingdom cannot run. And because of him only, everything is going very well, very nice, very nicely. So, but the minister says, no, no, it's not like that. I'll prove to you. So then he requests the king that, oh king, can you just go, no, stay in the forest without knowledge of others for some time. So then the king agrees. So meanwhile, yeah, the king goes. So they announce that the king has gone for hunting and he got killed. So meanwhile, the prince was made the king. So that time, the neighboring kings also come to know about this. So they want to attack uh, the kingdom. But the prince was very intelligent. So he arranged all the soldiers and the troops in such a way that they could not win. So, and they could actually win over the other enemies. So, and people were also very happy with this new prince. So, after some time, days went by, and everybody was well situated, and everybody forgot that king. So then the minister went and told that, see now, situation is much better. So, uh, so actually, people are attached to that position, but actually, it's not that we think that without me things will not happen, but actually things may go much better also. So, another big example of how people actually become attached and how they don't want to give up things. So we hear one nice story of one person who was very attached to business. So his sons thought that now old age he should become detached, at least now. So they appoint some sadhu and tell that you try to make him detached. So sadhu tried various things, but it didn't work. So finally, he took him to Varanasi, that Manakarnika Ghat, where they burn the bodies at that, after their death. So, seeing that, then this person was lamenting. So the sadhu thought, now it worked finally. I am successful. So he called the sons. So they thought, okay, finally our father became detached. So when the sons came, they asked, Father, now I think you have realized the value of human life, and no, you became detached. He said, actually, I am lamenting for other cause. Now, all this life, no, whole life, actually, I missed one very nice business. That is wood business. We should have started this wood business. So many people here, no, they are dying and they are being burnt. We can use this. We can start this business. So they were shocked to see that how still he is so much attached. Another story recently, somebody was telling that all the uh, relatives they gather and the sons, everybody is there at the deathbed. Then the father is angry. If everybody is here, who is taking care of the business? Go. So that's how people are attached. Prabhupada also says in one lecture that how a businessman who's attached to mill, he is maybe born as a rat sometimes in the mill. Hmm. So like, so this is how people actually, those who are attached to their positions or things, what can happen. On the other hand, we see that in Bhagavatam, kings like Yudhishthir Maharaj or Ambarish Maharaj, so they were also having positions, but they were not attached. So we see in Bhagavatam that when the right time came, Yudhishthira Maharaj just left and he went towards north, right? And all the other Pandavas, they just followed one by one behind him. So Sarva Upadi Vinirmuktam Tartparatvena nirmalam Rishikesha shikena sevanam bhakti ruchate. Like morning also we were reading from that path of perfection that Prabhupada is mentioning about presidents, how Nixon and so many people are attached to their positions. So devotees are also attached to position. But what is that position? Being servant or servant of servant of servant. They are also attached to that position. They are also hankering. Jivera Swarupoi, our real position is Jivera Swarupoi Krishnaira Nityadas or Gopi Bhartar Padakamalayur Das Das Anudas. So this is our position. And so in that mode we try to serve in whatever position we are given. Now, so that we can engage our knowledge, skills and values, whatever we have. So the second thing which Prabhupada is speaking here is about how according to Karanam Guna Sangasya Sadasad Yoni Janmasu. According to the association with various modes, he gets different types of bodies. So we see that in the story of Kailash, you all know how Narada Muni tries to help Kailash, but then he is so much attached to his position and he wants to make sure that everything goes well. So, but we hear that how Kailash in the next life, because he was so much attached to maintaining and protecting his house and family, so he becomes a dog, right? And he starts barking, protecting. And then later we see that again, because he was attached to protecting the farming and that business, he was worried that the sons are not taking care of the crops well. These rats and every other animals are attacking the fields. So we see that that same Kailashi becomes snake. So we can see that how people actually, if they are attached to particular modes or particular ways, how they can take a particular body. Prabhupada also says that one famous prime minister actually became a dog in foreign country. So also we see that in the story of Indra, when he was cursed to become a hog, from that story we can see that how actually he becomes so much attached to those modes, mode of ignorance and passion. So when Brahmaji comes and requests him, you please come back. So he doesn't come. So Brahmaji is surprised that how come he is so much attached to that position. So, and we know eventually that his wife, children were killed and eventually he comes back. But Prabhupada says that how we are also attached to this body, this material body, in whatever body we have, because we try to enjoy with this particular body. So when we get sense gratification, we get entangled. So how people are so much get engrossed and covered up by the modes. Like Prabhupada gives an example, when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur disciples went to Korea. So once they were making nice prasadam in ghee, puris and everything else. So the neighbors were complaining, hey, what is this smell? We don't like this. But then they saw that those very people were soaking all the died animals and insects in water for long time, and it was such nasty smell. It was such nasty smell coming, but still means they used to drink it after 1 year of storing like that. So we can see that how according to the modes people get influenced. So and towards the end Prabhupada is talking about absorbing our mind in Krishna. So actually how or where we absorb our mind, right, where we are attracted or attached to, that kind of impressions are formed in our mind. Okay. Now for example, like Nityamukta Prabhu was telling once Like cricket, how impressions are formed in our mind. When we are so much attached to cricket, like he was telling that even if somebody comes in between, we'll say, hey, please get down off the way, right? He was telling like just like Jagannath has big eyes, we also see with such intensity, with great eagerness and great enthusiasm. So because there is so much of eagerness and enthusiasm, so great impressions are formed in the mind, right? So uh, so that enthusiasm and eagerness is very important. So sometimes people, uh, even if the match is in the night, Australia cricket generally, Australia India sometimes early morning 3 a.m. test match or something. I remember I once or twice saw. so so even though we never have any habit of getting up so early, but that eagerness is so much that even if it's test match or some, still we are so eager to get up and see, because there is so much of eagerness uh, is there to watch it, to know what is happening, right? So similarly, when it comes to Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada says that actually our heart should be fertile uh, to receive the mercy of the Lord. Just like when we want to sow any seeds or plants in a soil, we have to first make sure that the land is fertile. So that's why they plow it and prepare. So same way, our heart also should be fertile to receive the mercy of the Lord. So unless it is fertile, we cannot actually uh, receive that with great eagerness. Means that will not be absorbed in our mind. Just like sponge it can easily absorb, right, water. But if there is stone, no matter how much you pour, it doesn't absorb, right? So we need to have humility, eagerness, that helplessness. So unless we have these qualities, actually it is difficult to absorb the mercy of the Lord. So also qualities like gratitude. So we see that the acharyas, they have set example for us. Like Sri Ramanujacharya, when he was supposed to receive the holy name from Goshtipurna, we know that how he had to travel so many times, 17 times to and fro from Tirukostuyur, right? And after that he received that holy name, Diksha, right? So, but we received quite easily, right? Right in the beginning, maybe the first class itself, sometimes we receive holy name. Please chant, right? So we may take it very cheaply as something ordinary. Uh, so, but if you take it with gratitude, that I actually don't deserve this, but out of the causeless mercy they are giving me, so then it will really, we can really absorb that mercy. So also that helplessness is required. So we see this famous pastimes of Gajendra and Draupadi. So where they try to depend on various people initially and finally on themselves. But then they understood that it is not possible. So then finally they realized that we have to depend on Krishna. And finally they depended and Lord reciprocated. So I had another story about Yashoda Mai. So very interesting story that once she went to Mathura to see Krishna. So when she wanted to enter the palace, so she was not allowed by the soldiers. They said, "Who are you?" Said, "I am mother of Krishna." You, you are. We never know that. We never saw you. So they were not allowing. So Yashoda Mai, we know how much love and devotion she has for Krishna. So she helplessly, with so much devotion and love, she called Gopal, like that. So much helplessness, she called Krishna. So Krishna was sitting on some asan. So when Krishna actually heard that helpless call of Yashoda Mai, So immediately Krishna started running. And it is mentioned that while running only he became Bal Gopal. Because she is calling with that mood, right? Because for her, Krishna is Bal Gopal. So all soldiers were shocked that how Krishna is running, and suddenly he changed. And then he goes and embraces Mother Yashoda. Uh, so because Yashoda Mai, she is calling with so much helplessness, right? With so much devotion, then Krishna had to immediately reciprocate, right? So our calling the holy names, when we also call, so it should be with such helplessness, such mood of desperation. So because we don't have such feelings of desperation and helplessness, because we have other false shelters, so that's why we are not able to call out so such with such mood of helplessness. So also Krishna reciprocates with our eagerness, how much eager we are to accept his mercy. So in one lecture I was hearing that about Srinivas Acharya, what is his eagerness. So when he actually wanted to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri, with great eagerness he goes to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But just on the outskirts of Jagannath Puri, he hears that Lord Chaitanya actually disappeared. So he was actually, his whole aim in life was to actually get his association. He was in so much eagerness and so much desperation. So when he heard that news, actually he faints. Because that intensity of, we may not understand with our limited mind how somebody may faint like that, but the great acharyas, because they have so much eagerness to associate, so actually he faints. So then Lord Chaitanya appears actually and tells him that don't worry, you can meet Gadadhar Pandit. Actually even Narottam Das Thakur also, similarly we hear that every day he would hear about one of the acharyas from Krishnananda. And he would also explain very nicely. So Narottam Das Thakur, at the end of the description, he would actually feel so much desperation to associate with them. But when he would hear that actually they disappeared, he would actually feel that I am so fallen, that I am born at such a time that when these all great souls are no more here. So you'd feel so much separation from these devotees, and actually he would faint. Then Lord or his devotees would appear and actually give their mercy. So then he goes, the Srinivasa Acharya, he goes to meet Gadadhar Pandit. But Gadadhar Pandit actually says that I am just waiting only for you, because Lord told that I should actually discuss Bhagavatam with you. I am just waiting for you. So then he says, but my Bhagavatam is actually completely wet now, because of when we were discussing with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we were in so much ecstasy, tears, that all this Bhagavatam got filled with tears, and all the ink, means the letters are no longer visible. So can you please get Bhagavatam from Bengal, from Narhari Sarkar? So now just imagine, there is no Veda base or Kindle. So now to get Bhagavatam, he has to go to Bengal from Jagannath Puri. There is no train, no flight or bus. So all the way, he didn't say that, okay, now, okay, whatever you remember, you can tell maybe. It's okay. Now I can't go. You can, abhi bus ho gaya, abhi kitna ghumunga abhi. You can tell whatever you remember, I am okay now. He didn't think like that. He went all the way to Bengal to get that Srimad Bhagavatam. And by the time he actually comes, actually Gadadhar Pandit, in separation of Lord, he also disappears. Now just imagine, means what he might be feeling. That, okay, Ray, what is this, Lord? I have so much eagerness, you are not reciprocating. Chalo abhi chhod do. I'll read myself Bhagavatam. No, then because again he was feeling so much separation from Gadadhar Pandit. Again he appears and he tells him that actually you should meet Rupa and Sanatan. They got mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They can explain this. You please go to Vrindavan. Now Bengal is okay, not so far, but Vrindavan from Puri is very very far, right? Quite far. So, but see the eagerness of Srinivasa Acharya. He again goes all the way to Vrindavan to meet Rupa and Sanatan. But then, when he reaches the outskirts of Vrindavan, what happens? He hears news that from people that, oh, two great souls, no, they have left this world, and how to, no, no, we are feeling so. So then he asks them what happened. So they say that actually Rup and Sanatan, they just left this world. So now Srinivasa Acharya, he can just think that what is this? I have so much eagerness, but every time, this is third time, whenever I am coming for association, what is this happening? I am not getting association. Maybe my scripts, or what do you call? Huh? Fate, yeah. My fate is like this. Chalo abhi chhod do. Right? So again it is mentioned that because he was feeling so much separation from Rup and Sanatan, so he again faints, and they appear and say that don't worry, there is Jiva Goswami. You can take his association, and he will definitely give you mercy. So finally, Jiva Goswami is there. He doesn't disappear. So he gives his association to Srinivasa Acharya. So, but we can see that how the Acharyas, like how much eagerness they have to take association. Like Radheshan was telling that how intensely we should practice. Just like he was giving that example of tawa. If it is very hot, you just put little water, immediately it is gone. Right? So similar way, when our heart is really eager for mercy and we want to intensely practice, actually our material desires will easily evaporate, and also we can absorb the mercy of the Lord deep in our heart. Actually, mercy is there, but we are not prepared to absorb it. Just like Prabhupada says, sunlight is there. But if you sit in the room, you can't receive. Right? When you close the doors. Same in a similar way, mercy of Lord is there everywhere at every moment. But because we are not eager, we are not opening our hearts. What is the meaning of opening our hearts? Means having that eagerness, having that gratitude, humility, tolerance, all these qualities. Actually, naturally, these help us to open our heart. Then actually we can absorb the mercy of the Lord. Then our mind will be attached to Krishna. So I'll finish with this one verse from 10th canto, first chapter, 13th verse. Naishati dussah kshunmam tyaktodam api bhadate pibantam tvam mukamboja chutam hari katamritam. This is about Parikshit Maharaj. Because of my woe on the verge of death, I have given up even drinking water. Yet because I am drinking the nectar of topics about Krishna, which is flowing from the lotus mouth of your Lordship, my hunger and thirst, which are extremely difficult to bear, cannot hinder me. Purport. Very nice purport. To prepare to meet death in 7 days, Maharaj Parikshit gave up all food and drink. As a human being, he was certainly both hungry and thirsty. Therefore, Sukadeva Goswami might have wanted to stop narrating the transcendental topics of Krishna. But despite his fast, Maharaj Parikshit was not at all fatigued. The hunger and thirst from my fast do not disturb me. He said, once when I felt very thirsty, I went to the ashram of Shamik Muni to drink water. But the Muni did not supply. Therefore, no, he explains all this. This indicates that although on the material platform there are disturbances from hunger and thirst, on the spiritual platform there is no such thing as fatigue. Now, very nice explanation Prabhupada gives. The entire world is suffering because of spiritual thirst. Every living being is Brahman or spirit soul and needs spiritual food to satisfy his hunger and thirst. Unfortunately, however, the world is completely unaware of the nectar of Krishna Katha. The Krishna conscious movement is therefore a boon to philosophers, religionists, and people in general. There is certainly a charming attraction in Krishna and Krishna Katha. Therefore, the absolute truth is called Krishna the most attractive. So then Prabhupada explains further. So we can see that actually how Prabhupada gave this wonderful Krishna Katha, which actually fulfills our need of the soul. So as Prabhupada is mentioning, there is material thirst and hunger, but more important than that is spiritual thirst and hunger. We have been feeding our body and mind from so many lifetimes, but our soul is not actually fed. That hunger of the soul, the thirst of the soul is not being fed. So we may be feeding, but not sufficiently fed. So somebody may say that, okay, hunger of the body, I am able to understand. Okay. Hunger of the mind, okay, I need some care, love, I can understand. But how to understand the hunger of soul? I am not understanding. So if I understand, I'll fulfill. Somebody may say. So the hunger of soul is actually hankerings, dissatisfaction, lust, greed, anger. So when actually the soul is satisfied in loving relation with Krishna, actually we will be completely satisfied. Savai pumsham paro dharmo eto bhaktir adokshaje ahaituki yayatma suprasidati. When you glorify the Lord unmotivatedly, uninterruptedly, your soul is completely satisfied. That's why we see in Bhagavatam also, Vyasdeva was not satisfied. So whenever we see that actually we are dissatisfied and these things are pulling us away, that means actually we are not fed the soul. Just like baby cries for food of mother, same way our soul is crying for Krishna, because he is our mother, he is our father. The soul is crying for Krishna, right? But that cry for Krishna is manifesting as dissatisfaction, hunger, all these things in ugly ways, right? So whenever we see this manifesting, actually we should understand, oh, I have not actually sufficiently fed my soul. So I need to feed my soul now, right? This is time to feed the soul, right? So when the soul is satisfied in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, then definitely all these hankerings, material hankerings will go away, right? So we ourselves also devotees, we can see in our own lives also that sometimes when we don't do sufficient sadhana, we see that actually our mind is crying. Lust, greed, anger, so many ways these things manifest. So, but when we fulfill these needs, then we see that mind is very peaceful, right? Mind is not disturbed. So we should understand that this is the need of the soul, right? This is very important. So Prabhupada so kindly gave us this solution to the whole world. Krishna consciousness is the only solution for the misdirected civilization. So we will end here. Any comments, questions anybody has? Otherwise we'll end here. Okay, we'll end here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.